On site episode 4.
Hate it.
Morgan.
It's me.
Let's get it. What is good, Influential Walls fam? So I just got back from Europe last week where we hosted our Portugal Mastermind with mentees from all around the US that flew out to Portugal, stayed in a mansion, jumped off a yacht with us, and rented a BMW M4 with a super dope spoiler on the back. And we basically conducted business workshops throughout the entire week that we were there. I also had the pleasure of visiting mentees in France, Germany, Montenegro. Shout out Laureen, Alexis, Nico, Katerina. It was so great seeing all of your guys' faces, and I'm excited to go back to Europe and see you guys again, hopefully soon. But on today's episode of On Site, we're actually really leaning into what we did at the Portugal Mastermind, and we'll be briefly showing you clips of Morgan Zion's mural in Tustin, California, where she was able to collaborate with one of the major developers in the area, and she was able to partner with Bear. And today's episode is going to be based on 2 topics. Topic 1 is the law of proximity. The law of proximity, simply put, is the closer you are to different influences and environments, the more likely you are going to adapt to said influences and said environments. You guys have probably heard the saying, you're the product of your 5 closest friends. This is the law of proximity in full effect. Your friends play a huge role in not just how you think and act, but also what you do on a day-to-day basis, because you're most likely going to be hanging out with them doing as they do. And the reason why Influential Walls was able to scale from me being a muralist who sells murals for $300 into a mural agency where I'm able to structure out 6-figure packages is the fact that I surrounded myself with the right friends, the right mentors, and the right community. And when you're thinking from a business perspective about the law of proximity, this can be a reason why some people golf even though they hate golfing. They're there to make connections. This could be a reason why you upgrade to a more expensive gym, because you know that the quality of people going there are going to be a lot smarter, a lot more intelligent, and a lot more hungry. And for us, this is exactly why we put together the Portugal Mastermind, because we wanted mentees to come out that were willing to spend thousands of dollars on their education, on high-end experiences, and on learning from some of the best mentors in the game. I ran the Portugal Mastermind with Morgan Zion, who's an expert on retainer deals and sales. She actually owns a mural business and a yoga business, and she's worked with some of the biggest brands you could possibly think of, including the Marriott, Equinox, Lululemon, Amazon, UPS, the list goes on and on. And we also ran the mastermind with Luke and Lucas, who are 2 21-year-old kids that started their agency Go Together, which is a videography and content creation agency specializing in working with action sports brands and travel brands. These kids have worked with Don Julio, they've worked with NASCAR, Nike, Undefeated. Their list goes on and on as well. Luke, Lucas, and Morgan have grown to be some of my closest friends, and I've learned so much about video editing, about sales, about content, about virality from hanging out with them consistently over and over. I wouldn't have been able to even record the video that is in front of you today without Luke and Lucas's knowledge, and my sales and website expertise has grown a lot working with Morgan. So in Portugal, we had some very eye-opening experiences with the mentees that came out on the trip. We did breakfast and group lectures for the first part of the day. After group lectures, we would break off into one-on-one sessions with the mentees that were there. Here are a couple gold nuggets from my one-on-ones with mentees that I really want you guys to listen in on, about totally different topics pertaining to different businesses, but relevant to all business owners. Sorry, Dad. I've been doing OnlyFans for 5 years already.
A little late. That would be so much more lucrative, honestly.
Yeah. Okay, your biggest deal to date has been crosswalk.
61,500.
61,500. Then let's also do your school average order value, because I know you've worked with schools. Okay, what is the school average order value?
Well, I've only worked with 2, and One of them was 9,000, the other one was 4,000.
We'll average at like 6,500 or like 7,000. And then who have been some of your other major clients or bigger clients?
The Humane Society is one that I'm doing right now. That one was 13.5. The Cat Club was 8.5.
And your minimum currently?
In my deck, it's 85.
Your minimum is
8,500. Yeah.
All leads are word of mouth, and they all come from Monroe?
Yes. Monroe / like Monroe County, right outside Monroe County, right in that.
Okay, so technically, that's your niche, right? Like, I talk to artists all the time about finding their niche, and sometimes a niche is literally just your region if you're dominating it, which you are right now. So everything with Monroe right now for you is coming from 2 lead sources, which is word of mouth and probably a little bit on your social, which is probably on Instagram or
Instagram and Facebook.
Instagram and Facebook. So in the same vein that we talked about with weddings, is you can actually create probably a Facebook group, Monroe business owners.
Yes.
Which would be clutch.
Yes.
Because if everyone is just sharing business advice in there, and you're sharing business advice in there regularly, and you can actually cultivate that community, you can regularly promote your murals in there too, right? And just be like, just finished this for whatever business, we worked with the community in this way. But remember, for Facebook groups and Instagram both, we don't always want to be selling. It's value-based.
Yes.
Right? So everything is about value and culture, and the product comes secondary and will inevitably sell if people are really engaged in your group. So the priority with Facebook groups is nurturing and cultivating the community, right? Like connecting with the consumer. One thing that I think would be worth revisiting with you, particularly with just dominating Monroe more and more and more, and just dominating Monroe and all the neighboring areas, is running email campaigns specifically just to like Monroe business owners. Using emails not to go nationwide, but just build the snowball bigger, because you're already building the snowball, right? Just like add more stuff to it.
Right? Exactly. And I think that was something immediately that I didn't understand could be done in a small area.
Yeah.
I never, and I think it's just because people don't think that. Like, I was just talking with them about it. Like, you don't think that there's money in your area, or you don't, unless you, like, you always think about just going to where it's already at. But like we were talking about, there's already 100 people. We don't need to jump the pond or like go across the country and go to where everyone else is at before you have that built. And I like it because then also like the credibility is something that I never understood beforehand.
Gary Vee, do you know Gary Vee? So the Gary Vee approach is like, one thing that he always talks about is dominating local, to where everyone in your city just knows your face.
Yes.
And you can do that by using all the marketing channels available to you. Email marketing, social media, like you can do Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Just see how many business owners we could pull up in Apollo. We have 157 people here, which alone, like, I would say there's no reason why you shouldn't email that list. It's a small campaign anyways. You can even laser target some of these people. Like if we go into, like what I would do is I would segment by revenue. So business owners in Monroe doing above, we'll just do 5 mil and see how small that list is. There's 50. What if we did like 10 mil? 39. Okay. These would be your I would laser target like all these people. Now you're at 140. What did you say? What's your current sales today? We can just round up to we'll just round up to 145, 150.
Yeah.
So the fastest way for you to get to 225, if we're talking total sales, is like, if you do more Facebook posts for your wedding side, you're gonna get there quickly, I think. One thing I really like for you right here is like, this is your big outlier, right? This is your big fish.
Yes.
Because what's the second biggest deal you've closed behind the 61?
Humane Society. I think it's literally the 13.5.
So you haven't closed anything above like 15K yet besides the crosswalks?
Besides the crosswalks, no.
Okay. So you're still kind of in a volume game.
Yep.
Not like a crazy volume game because you're still in high ticket. But if you could find more deals here in the crosswalk section, so like here is where we could also supplement the email strategy, is like targeting neighboring cities. I wouldn't be opposed to you reaching out to city council members as well, because you could just ask the city council members like in your script, like, hey, just wondering if I'm reaching out to the right person. There's a video that I filmed for a mentorship called The Big Fish Can Sink Your Boat.
Yes, I remember you talking to me about that.
Yeah, I don't know, did you ever watch that video or no?
I didn't watch the video. We talked about it on one of our, I called you one day when we were talking about that, because I think that's why I'm feeling the way that I'm feeling, because I know that we've talked about it, and I know that like
If you don't
already
replicate these
yes.
results, your sales won't hit this number
Exactly. And I
this year.
yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. So, like, this is actually what's happening right now with us. So, we're working with one school district in California. They have a bunch of funds for after school program. All the schools in that district are looking to use those funds. So, like, across all the schools that we're negotiating right now. So, in the past, when I would see this, what I would do is I would go to the district directly and say, let's put this all under one contract for a big dollar amount for like 100 to 250K,
Yep.
something like that, right? Because I'd just be like, look, 3 of your school sites want to work with us, or whatever, 5 of your school sites want to work with us. We're going to charge each one of them like 20 to 30K. Instead, we can charge them all like 15 to 20K, and we'll put it all under one contract. Now, the issue with that is that if something happens with the district, if there's any issues, whatever it is, then you lose all of that money. And especially if you block out your calendar,
Yes.
and you're not taking other leads, you're like telling other people that come in like, hey, we want a mural. Oh, sorry, I'm booked. Then like, and then if they fall out, then you just lost a bunch of business,
Yes.
right? So for what we're doing with like this time around, because we had a bunch of schools inquire, I told my brother, because he's organizing it all, I told him like, I want all the contracts spread out across the year. We're not going to fulfill them back to back. So we're going to split, like each school wants to pay us 20 to 40K, right? And I was like, for the 20 to 40K that we're doing, I want it to be 20K with this client 1 month. And then that same month, I want to fulfill 2 other client projects. So I want 3 clients that month, but I don't want them to be all under the same district. I want this district, all these contracts to be spread out over time. So that way I'm not risking losing a hefty amount of sales and telling other people we can't work with you.
Yeah.
Right? Because I made that mistake before.
Yeah.
And that's what that video was about. There's different ways that you can solve the big fish problem, right? When you have a smaller boat, is like you either get a bunch of other small fish like this. So you just trickle it out, right? So if you're like, I'm gonna do 150,000 in sales, 60,000 is coming from one client. If you lose that deal, sure, you're losing like a third of your sales, which is a lot. Like I would say if a client makes over 20% of your annual sales, like you really want to be getting a lot more leads.
Yes.
But a nicer way to do it is to just find other big fish, make your boat way bigger, right? And just get used to making 60K per deal, right? And this is where, because technically right now, if we increase your minimum to 10,000, there's actually not a lot of people that are qualifying for that 10,000. So your minimum at 8,500 actually makes sense, because if we look at these numbers, like, okay, that's kind of averaging out. And you can probably pull these numbers another 1,000 or 2,000 more, and maybe they'll close. If you're doing bulk targeting and you understand all the jargon that you were throwing out before, like, hey, there's certain paints that you have to use, this actually makes your
with the Michigan asphalt,
you build a pitch deck that's specifically for crosswalk murals. It has information about crosswalk murals, how you can fund it, like what grants that you can qualify for to do that. Like it just is so niche, right? And it's like, how many other artists are gonna pitch really understanding that really well? That is where you're gonna look more like a consultant as well.
Yeah.
Right. So what I always tell artists and creatives is, instead of selling like an artist, I want you to try to sell like an art consultant, someone that shows you the value of the art and what it can do for your business. But I do like that you qualify on your call. That's called qualifying when you talk about your minimum, right? So just like, I just want to be respectful of your time before we go too deep into the call. It's $2,000 minimum. Can you afford that? Yes. Awesome. Great. Then I ask those what we call consulting questions, right? I use that opportunity to educate the client, to show them why I'm high value, right? This is why I charge what I charge, because I understand frameworks, right? And I'm going to help you understand the frameworks as well, right? So it's making me, again, look more like a consulting. So I'm going to teach you how to build out frameworks. So these students are all also a part of the Influential Walls Mentorship Program, which is all centered around the law of proximity. In the Influential Walls Mentorship Program, we offer an extensive video library. We do group calls. I do one-on-ones with students. We offer exclusive trips like the Portugal Mastermind and the Miami Muralist Retreat that we're doing at the end of the year. And most importantly, the mentorship program is a community of hungry, like-minded muralists that want to serve each other and grow together. And then watch these mentees make their own little group chats, their own own tech strands and create their own little subcultures within the culture of the mentorship program. If you guys are interested in joining the Influential Walls Mentorship Program, you could read about it more in the description of this video. But anyways, the next topic I wanted to talk about in today's episode of On-Site is the topic of sales, retainers, and partnerships. And no muralist I know is as strong of an expert on this as Morgan Zion is. Morgan has structured very unique packages when it comes down to working with her clients. She's done hotel deals where she's been given a hotel room to visit for a year long while being their exclusive muralist, meaning the hotel can't work with any other muralists, and getting paid a lot of money to do so. For privacy purposes, I can't state the exact number to you, but I can tell you that a lot of people, including myself, would kill for a deal that big with a major hotel brand like the brands that she's worked with. She's also structured out yoga deals that are very similar. She's led yoga retreats of her own, and she is very much a people person who is really good at just connecting with someone and being everyone's best friend. We're about to cut to a clip with Morgan Zion on site at her mural at the District in Tustin, California, where we had a much more extensive conversation about partnerships and sales as a whole. Here with Morgan Zion.
It's me.
Been working together now for like a year and a half, something like that. Morgan and I have done webinars together. We've done trips together. We just like see our world the same.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
We,
For sure.
we present the same way, super professional, always presents 3 prices. Everything is about helping people, serving the community.
Yeah, I take the art seriously now as a business professional. I'm a business professional first, and I'm an artist second, which is different than what I ever thought. Because in my background, in my earlier days, I thought that like being an artist wasn't a real job because artists just don't get taken professionally because they don't act professional. And so the way I look at it is like, if you can be a professional first, you can sell anything you care about, anything you love. And so as a business professional, as an entrepreneur, I sell art. I happen to sell my art, you know, and that's what I love so much about being a mural artist and being in this game.
One thing that Morgan's really good at too is retainer deals. Just like a lot of her clients, she works with multiple times. Actually, we were just talking right before we started filming. Morgan's going to be probably working with this client again.
Yeah.
What's the secret sauce to working with someone again? What's the secret sauce to retainer deals? How do you go about getting retainer deals?
One really great way to get clients that you can get booked for multiple jobs is, first of all, building a relationship, building trust. You have to have one really great project with them, maybe 2, that they are now like, wow, you're my person. It's kind of like, I always think about hair, you know, as a barber or as a hairstylist, like I don't go to anybody. I go to one person because they know how to do my hair. They've shown me from day one that they know what they're doing. And not that they just know what they're doing, but they listened to me and what I cared about. And they don't like talk my ear off. They're not making problems. They're always making solutions, and they deliver in a timely manner. And I think about that. I'm like, how can I be that person for this brand or this company? And specifically, like, say this company, they're actually a property management company that owns a bunch of outdoor shopping centers on the West Coast. And I got in with one space in Sunset off in Hollywood. And that manager loved working with me so much that he sent me to all these different property management of the same basically company that has all these other outdoor malls. And they're like, if you want to work with anyone, you need to work with Morgan, right? So one can turn into many just based on your relationship. So that's number 1 secret sauce. Number 2 secret sauce, if you have ideas, finish the idea that you're on, finish it into completion. If it's being painted on the wall, if you have a new idea, if you're walking around the space and you see an opportunity to create another mural, take a photo of it, mock something up if you care enough, and then send it to the client. Be like, hey, I had a really good idea, and here's like what I think could come of it. And that's what I did. I've walked around this space many times, and I actually had an entire deck that I created for the client. Say, here's all the spaces that I think could be mural opportunities. And they actually took me up on quite a bit of it. Doesn't mean that it ended up working out for the price points that I specifically needed. They didn't have the budget for it. But it is something that they looked at and they were like, we want to do this for the future, right? So when you have ideas, finish the idea that you're on, keep your credibility, keep your relationship, be timely in your execution, and always have great solutions to problems that they might not have even thought of. The last thing on that one, the professionalism, like he always had touch points with the client to make sure that they knew where I was at in the project cycle, right? So instead of them having to check in with me, like, is this artist dead? Like, are they around? Like, what are your working hours? I was always checking in with them, and not being annoying, not asking them questions, but saying, hey, here's how things are looking today. Do we want to post on Instagram? Giving solutions, tagging them, asking them if they want to collaborate on work, because they're excited that a muralist is painting. I'm giving them an opportunity for some PR.
I want to dive deeper into that. Diving into two things that you said. Well, one, you're like, be all the things that you would want if you were working with a partner, right? Everything about retainer deals and working with someone multiple times is about relationships. So what are some things that you specifically do to further the relationship? Like you're saying, communication is one big aspect. You're communicating during the project.
Yep.
What about before the project? Like what do those stages look like before the project? And then what does it look like after?
Right. So before the project, I have an ideation session every single time with the client. No, it's not free. So especially because it's your time. If you have like a call with them beforehand because they just want to suss it out, suss it to see if you're a client that they want to work with, or vice versa, that's free, because that's your call to try and sell them, right? That's your sales call. Once they sign a contract with me, it's an ideation session that's already in the project proposal. That just the same as a sketch, a concept, all those things, a brand board, all that is a part of the entire project. They have to pay for the work that you do. Otherwise, what kind of place lets you take work for free? It's your own time. So you have to be a professional, and they expect that when they're working with somebody who is a professional. So that's number one. Concepting, ideation sessions, and then taking all that and putting it into a presentation and proposing that concept. Maybe I do sometimes three different sketches. Iterations are about 2 iterations max. So say iterations being, oh, I liked this, but I don't like that color. Can you switch the colors? I have a dog. His name's Fido. Can you add Fido in there? One of the client's dogs who actually just passed away, she sent me a picture of him and said like, hey, just letting you know Milo passed. It was just like, that's a moment, right? Where I'm like, you know what? Normally I wouldn't add that because it was on the 3rd iteration. They already had 2, it was done. And then she reached out and she was like, hey, do you mind adding my dog in there? And I'm like, no skin off my teeth, all good. It's like a quick fix for me, but that's a relationship moment, right? That's the secret sauce of it, because you care about the relationship. You're creating that trust with somebody that they're like, you know what, this artist would do that for me. And guess what? She still I send her a message every Christmas, every birthday, and every holiday. And I create that connection with her via email or via text if that's appropriate. And if you really want to go to the next level, make a card and send it on their birthday. Like, you will have such a great relationship with your client.
I always tell people, like, sometimes it's as simple as buying your clients donuts, like, straight up. The power of like a lunch
So true.
is so strong.
It is.
Like, it just makes them remember you. It makes them feel appreciated. The relationship is deepened. And like, going off your point too, you're saying like, you know what? We gave the 2 revisions. That's all the revisions that you get. And I'm going to give the 3rd revision out of the kindness of my heart. So a lot of artists, like, they'll come to me sometimes with conflict points. Like, the people, like the mentees, they'll be like, oh, there's a point of conflict. Or even there's a point of conflict with like the artists that I work with in the collective. Always find a way to be the hero in the moment. Because when you're the hero in the moment, then you're just that much more appreciated by all parties. So like, going in and saying something like, this technically is something that we wouldn't do, but I'm going to do it for you because I care about you, because you're awesome, because blah, blah, blah. And then it's like, wow, I'm so appreciated. And like, I know that if I need to hire someone again in the future, I want good work, I want a professional, and I want someone who's going to genuinely care about me, which is what we all want.
Yeah.
Right? Then it's like, yeah, taking those moments to be the hero, even when you don't want to be the hero. Because I don't know if you've ever had those moments, but there's some moments where, I mean, we had that moment with who, no names, but like, we had that moment where I was like, I want to go off, but we're not going to. And like the project was even ending with these guys that we partnered with, and we both wanted to tear their heads off. And we're just like, you know what? We're not going to do that because it's not our brand, because we care about people and we're always going to care about people. And that matters more than our instant gratification moment of being like, you're wrong, I'm right.
Say you finish the project, I would make sure that there's professional photos and videos taken so that they have them for their portfolio. A lot of these places, they don't even know how to hire like photographers or videographers. So even if you're like, well, I don't have that, maybe you reach out to somebody. I will pay photographers that are in my network to come out and get professional shots of my work always. And I end up sharing it with the client. I don't make them pay for it. I will pay for that because I know that the end result is that my clients are like, not only does she paint an awesome mural, she's easy to work with, she's super like kind, she posts on social media, which helps my PR, and I always get professional images when she's done, with her in it, without her in it. She's integrating like moments to connect with the community, which again, they can't think about all this stuff because they have to hire hella other people. But you're the one-stop shop. Why wouldn't somebody want to retain you? Like, why wouldn't somebody want to work with you on a regular basis? You have to sell an idea. So I look at things, like I said, I created a pitch deck. I walked around the entire shopping center and I found all the wall space that I thought I could paint, and I took pictures, and then I created a concept over that basically was centered around this mural. And I did a mock-up of each of them, so it looked very similar. I used the same colors, right? So there's continuity. I also priced out what it would be if they did multiple murals with me as opposed to like another one later on. I gave them a better, when I did my tiered pricing, I gave them a better discount if they're gonna do multi-murals with me, because I want that. Like, I want them to do more murals with me. I also co-collaborate a lot of times with other brands, like to get them to pay for the mural if say that the business doesn't have a lot of money, right? They're like, well, we don't have the budget. Like, there's budget from other places you can get.
Let's say you need to get funding for a mural. Someone can only put up, 5 Gs, but you only need 10. The other 5 Gs, how are you thinking about funding it? Who are you thinking about hitting up? How do you find them? Like, what does that process look like where you're like, okay, this is the...
I look up at collaborating with other brands, right, that are utilizing or that are local in the space that I'm painting the mural, that are also interested in the marketing that this provides, right? So, for instance, I was here in Tustin, and I was like, what paint companies are around here? And I happened to find that like Bear is right down the street. They're a mile away, literally. I reached out to their team. I had a contact that I made. I reached out to their team. They got right back to me. I was like, hey, I have this massive wall space, and I'd love to. I was using a different paint, but I love Bear so much, and I would love to incorporate Bear into this massive mural. Also, there's going to be a community paint day that we're going to have for the weekend, and that would be really good social media marketing and branding for y'all. And so would that be something you're interested in? Don't overwhelm yourself. Just really get good at closing, building relationships, and then retrospective, rinse and repeat. You got it. It's going to happen.
Yep, love it. Hell yeah.
Boom. Hey. Now my ass gotta go.
At its core, like you saw in the interview with Morgan, you want to be an authentic and loving person when you're trying to sell a product, particularly when you truly believe in the product. But remember, you have to see the product from the lens of the consumer. How does it bring them value? How quickly can you get them results? Will you be easy to work with? And will it be easy for them to refer you to other people and speak highly of you? To be a powerful muralist and a powerful entrepreneur, you truly have to understand sales and partnership. So if you need to, rewind and take some notes. But as always, we're going to end today's episode with a banger of an edit. We'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.